Hello, lovelies. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. The rains fall softly upon your fields until we meet again. Dani's Luck, St. Patrick's Day story. Running down the beach again, always running from something. This time it is pain. Not noticing the bulge of brown fabric laying on the sand until she fell over it. For a moment she just laid there and cried, not noticing the lump moved. The ocean wouldn't mind her tears, or care if she swam out to sea and never trod upon the land again. She fingered the shell pendant around her neck for a moment. "Are you okay?" the lump asked. She looked up into the most beautiful emerald green eyes she had ever seen, set in a fringe of strawberry blonde lashes. I'm. The dam burst below her blue tourmaline irises, and she sobbed out, "My brother died. He left me alone." The stranger wrapped her in his arms and held her gently, soothing her as she sobbed. She had not cried this hard since her parents died when she was 8. She lamented how he had been driving long haul up the coast to Alaska and was cut off by a drunk driver going up the interstate the wrong way. Rather than hit a family in a minivan, Dawn chose the concrete pillar. He was the best person she knew, and now he was gone. Finally, the tide of her words receded, and she was mortified that she carried on so to a complete stranger. His voice was gentle. "I'm so sorry you lost him like that. He sounds like he was an amazing person." "He was, and I'm so sorry. You can't you can let go now. I'm not normally like this. I'm sorry I tripped on you. This is a no camping beach. I wasn't expecting anyone to be laying on it this early in the morning. I didn't mean to fall on top of you. I was just running 'cause that's what I do when I stress out or am upset. I run. I ran a 10K a week for 3 months after our grandmother died. It all came out so fast, as the words as swift as her feet." He laughed. It was a gentle, deep sound. His accent was very thick. "Slow down. I can't understand half of what you're saying." "You sound Irish. Are you from Ireland or Scotland or somewhere where they have that accent? Because it's pretty. I've never been there, but I want to go. I want to go all over, but I've only been a few places. She stopped when he put his finger to her lips. "Shush. I'm Liam, and yes, I'm Irish." He was amazed at how soft her lips felt under his fingertip. Her blue-green eyes, with flecks of gold and sapphire, went perfectly with her coppery hair that glinted with strands of honey and cranberry. The sprinkle of cinnamon freckles across her cheeks and nose made her adorable. "What's your name?" "Danielle Ann," she whispered breathlessly, before the tide of words came back. "Daniela Ann Adams, but everyone calls me Dani, because who wants to say Daniela Ann every single time? I mean, really, it is 11 letters. It's a mouthful. I don't know what my parents were thinking when they decided to name me after both my grandparents, but it took me forever to learn how to write my full name, and—" His finger silenced her again. "Can a sleepy man get some tea or coffee before you use every word in the English language on him?" "I'll buy you a hot chocolate. You don't need caffeine," Liam demanded grumpily, but her scowl made him chuckle. She glared at him. No coffee? The nerve of him. Then she realized she was still sitting in his lap and he was still wrapped in a sleeping bag. The beaches were a popular place to sleep for free and often got visited by traveling young people out in the world discovering it and themselves. She had always envied them, but she couldn't travel except by boat, the curse of her kind, and she couldn't afford tickets to travel very far. However, Dawn's life insurance would take her anywhere she wanted to go. She blinked back tears as she thought she would give back every cent of it to have her brother again. As if reading her thoughts, Liam hugged her again and offered, "Can I buy you breakfast, sweetheart?" It's Monday. The cafe is closed, and so are most of the shops. She remembered no car at the end of the Dunes Road and wondered why he was sleeping here. It was warm out of the wind and such. Why did you sleep on the beach instead of in your car? You have a car? You're going to be wearing sand in your clothes and hair for a week. Our beaches have sugar sand, the finest grain in the country. It gets everywhere and into everything, and in places you'd never imagine, and it rubs the spot raw. It's like once it gets inside something, it never comes. He kissed her to shut her up, but she finished as soon as his lips left hers. Out. She stared at him in shock, breathing the last word. So, Danny, you were saying there's no coffee or tea to be had in the whole town? Liam asked, his eyes shining like mischief, the deep green glittering like jewels, swirling in a mesmerizing way. Suddenly, Danny knew what he was. Her grandmother had told him of such creatures. Are you a leprechaun, Irishman? She asked, eyeing him suspiciously and leaning back in his arms. I thought you'd be shorter. If I am a lucky leprechaun to get trampled by the most talkative sprite I've ever met, he answered in a cavalier tone. Danny scrambled out of his lap, laughing. You, sir, are very charming. Lucky to be charming, or I'd have smacked you for kissing me. Can I make you breakfast and offer you a shower, since there isn't a hostel in town and the B&B is closed? Liam stood and shook out his bag. Thank you, my lady. But it was a kiss or a pinch, and I figured a kiss would be more to your liking. It's St. Patrick's Day, and you're not wearing a stitch of green. She giggled, abashed at his flirty nature, and lied. I'll have you know, my underwear is green. Then you'll have to show me to prove it, he grinned. Her cheeks painted themselves pink like the inside of an abalone shell. Okay, fine. You get a pass, but it's only because I don't show my panties to strange homeless men I stumble upon at the beach, Danny huffed. Don't you mean stumble over? He chuckled again when she blushed so red it looked like someone had rubbed her cheeks with fresh strawberries. Before she could think of anything to retort, he offered, Since you're making breakfast, can I give you a ride back to your place? How can you give me a ride? I didn't see a car, unless you planned to carry me, and I'd rather you didn't, because I get motion sickness very easily. I hate trains for that reason, and planes because of the turb. His fingers stopped the unending flow of words. Please, I need strong coffee or black tea if you expect me to follow what you're saying so fast. It's like listening to a hummingbird talk. They just stood there for a moment, her looking at him and him looking down at her, and both wondering if she was going to bite his finger. Then she smiled, and her eyes glittered more blue. Fine. I'm a half-mile back down the Dunes Road. Together they walked toward the road. The warm golden sunlight seemed to pool around them as he walked, and she couldn't help but smile as he looked at her out of the corner of his eye. He was one lucky leprechaun. Danny gasped, seeing his car. The rich green paint glistened in the sun as if it had just been washed by a spring shower. Where did that come from? You have a 1935 Buick Coupe? That's a beautiful car, she said admiringly. Then she eyed him suspiciously. If you have a car, why were you sleeping on the beach? Can't you afford a room? She suddenly wondered if the car was stolen. Was he a criminal? He could see her hesitation. Liam rubbed the back of his neck and admitted sheepishly. It was, my grandfather's. Every shamrock day back home, we would camp at the beach and wait for the Silkies to swim in, burn a bonfire, and laugh and sing. I was feeling homesick, so I drove down from school. I go to State Tech for engineering. I'm graduating in 2 months. Where do you go to college? She looked down as he held the door for her. After he got in and started the engine, she revealed, I graduated from the Art Institute. I was homeschooled and had a GED at 16. I took several courses and graduated with an art degree in photography. I paint too, and sell my landscape photographs and paintings online. Someday I want to travel all over the world and photograph every place. As he was driving, she pointed at a drive. An old truck sat in the driveway. It was a 1965 Chevy that had seen better days, but appeared to be well taken care of. I have my grandfather's car, too. How do you expect to travel if you get motion sickness? He asked, and then was surprised when she opened the door for herself and got out before he could come around. She moved as fast as she talked. I can sail, but there are other ways of travel. I haven't figured it all out. They have pills and patches that go behind the ear or under the arm, but those just make me sleepy. And wristbands make my skin itch like crazy. I'm allergic to copper. Well, most metals really. Can't let it touch my skin or I rash. It's a weird freaking allergy to have. I have to make sure I have a layer of fabric between my skin and any fastener, or I get a red spot. And that's why I only wear sports bras with no fasteners. They're way more comfortable than regular bras. Oh my gosh, I didn't mean to talk about my bras again. Just ignore the part I said and pretend I was talking about something else. Do you like waffles or pancakes? Liam chortled at her embarrassment. I think whatever you cook will be fine. I'll just shower, and I promise I didn't understand anything you said about your undergarments because you talked so fast. Dani groaned and pointed at a door. Just go while I die of mortification and cook breakfast. Admiring how the whole of the house was decorated with shells from the beach, Liam wondered how he could get her to the Fair Isles. Then he noticed something on her dresser. He picked up the coin and rubbed its familiar crest. Suddenly she knew what he was. His heart pounded painfully for a moment. Then he chuckled quietly as he went into the little bathroom decorated with lighthouses and mermaids. Liam stepped out of the shower to the smell of bacon, eggs, and potato pancakes. Dressing quickly, he couldn't wait to eat and listen to his beautiful companion. He had found something far better than gold at the end of the rainbow this morning. On the counter was enough food for 5 people. Wow, you didn't have to make all this. Do you want Tinning's Irish breakfast tea or coffee? She smiled, holding up a familiar green box. Tea, please, Dani. He heaped piles of food on his plate because sleeping on the beach always left him ravenous, and not just for food. Dani tipped her head at his tone, knowing he was about to kiss her again. She held out her wrist. It had a green ribbon tied around it. I'm wearing green now. That's too bad, because I was looking forward to kissing you again. Or maybe you'd prefer a little pinch. He flirted and she blushed as she ate. So, tell me where you're from, she asked as she nibbled on her shrimp and avocado omelet. He talked about Ireland and how he missed it and its beauty while they ate, and she listened intently. That sounds like a lovely place to grow up. How could you ever leave? She sounded enchanted. I left for school and to find something I lost. Life is just too short to not live it, Liam sipped his tea. Don't you think? I think we're all looking for a piece of something we lost. Maybe. Taking his plate, she turned away to place the dishes in the sink. Thinking about what he said made her realize life was so unexpected. It could be short or long. No one ever knew. She was tired of being careful all the time, of never straying too far from the sea, of fearing the tails of nets hidden in every wave. She needed to stop hiding behind her bubbly facade and really enjoy her life without worry, if only for a day. Grinning, she turned back to Liam. He was looking at her like a starving man looks at cake. Dani slowly pulled the long strand of green until it was no longer tied around her wrist. His eyes narrowed, watching the silk flutter to the floor. Oops, it fell off. So it did. Late afternoon, she waved as he drove off into the mixture of sun and showers that came every day at this time. A rainbow seemed to arch down and touch the road ahead of him. He drove into it and was gone. She blinked several times, trying to dispel the optical illusion, then shrugged it away, shutting the door as the rain came in earnest. She had his address and hickeys on her entire body to prove he enjoyed her company. He accepted the shell necklace she offered. Her hand reached up to rub the one on the back of her neck. It was raised. The mark felt almost like a four-leaf clover. When she lifted her hair, she used her hand mirror to look at the wall mirror. She was shocked to see a dark green, perfectly formed four-leaf clover. It looked like a tattoo. There was a sound of her coin dropping off her dresser. Hurrying into the bathroom, Dani watched the golden coin spinning on the floor and rolling to her feet. With a trembling hand, she picked it up. She had found it as a young mermaid at a place where the rainbow touched the edge of the sea and the shore. It was engraved with some sort of crest on one side and a weird language on the other she had never found a translation for. Rubbing her hand thumb over the script, the letters turned to English, and Dani giggled. Liam was a leprechaun, and he knew she was a mermaid. When rainbows grace the misty sky, and the road is lonely, don't sigh. Press this to your lips and give it a kiss, and love will come by nigh. The end of Dani's Luck. I hope you enjoyed this little short story and from the hashtag writer reading. Be blessed. Happy St. Patrick's Day. And may the road rise to meet you.